calling all the Italian lovers. If you've ever thought about planning your trip abroad to see the beautiful country of Italy, well, my dear, I highly recommend it, and lucky for you, I've got a ton of information, fresh, and tips and helpful information and knowledge to share with you all about the beautiful country, and maybe answer some questions that you've had lingering in your head. And this is actually part 2, so please refer to part 1 first and then go ahead and watch this half. So let's go ahead and get into all the juicy information and tips that I have to share with you today. Okay, so I'm just going to be referring to my notes here. So first things first to share with you is that if you travel abroad, it is recommended that you have either a phone that is unlocked or you buy a separate phone to buy an eSIM. I don't know how other phone services and carriers work, but I do know that generally speaking, a lot of phone carriers within the USA are very expensive when you travel abroad and try to use your phone in other countries. And so if you want to save a little bit more money and not be so capped on what you can do and how long you can use your phone for, I would definitely recommend getting a eSIM. And so this recent trip, I had to buy a whole new phone, like just a cheap smartphone from Best Buy, in order to have an eSIM and be able to use that eSIM, because I didn't know the first trip, well, not my first trip abroad, but my first solo travel to Italy, I didn't know that my phone had to be unlocked. Like, I didn't even know that that was a thing. But I do have a phone that is on a plan, so unfortunately, if you don't have a paid off iPhone, you won't be able to use your eSIM. That's why you'll have to buy a separate, or you'll just have to pay your phone carrier whatever number of days in order to use international usage, right? I don't know, that's just how it works. But also a tip on, like, it's funny though, because you actually don't, I don't want to say that you don't need it, but I will say that when I went, I didn't have my eSIM. I couldn't use my phone unless I was in Wi-Fi, and I managed pretty well. I'm actually really proud of myself for doing that, honestly. But I managed pretty well. Yes, not everywhere has Wi-Fi, or not everywhere will be willing to give guests Wi-Fi passwords, but generally speaking, when you're in hotels, you will absolutely have access to Wi-Fi. It's just that when you're not in Wi-Fi, you won't be able to use your phone because you have to keep it on airplane mode. So a tip that I did for when I didn't have any usage at all and I would have to leave Wi-Fi was I would download maps of where I was going or wanted to navigate to, like, that where I was going, and also back to where I was staying. I would download that onto my phone. That way I could access it even when I was offline. So that was one tip that really was helpful for me in making sure that, like, just for peace of mind and feeling safe, so that I could get myself back to, you know, my home base. I would just download the maps while I was in Wi-Fi, and then I could access them when I wasn't in Wi-Fi. So it is possible, it is doable to navigate a foreign country without an eSIM. But if you have an eSIM, obviously you're just going to be able to, you're going to need it if you're driving. If you're driving in Italy, you're going to need it because you have to use maps. So that's a good tip for phone usage. Also, another just piece of information is that in Italy and a lot of places in Europe, you will have to pay for bathrooms. Like, you have to pay to use the bathroom with euros. Some actually do have like, you can use your card, just tap, but there are train stations that don't have that, you know, updated modern system, so you have to use actual euros. So just keep that in mind. Always keep euros on you, because if you're anything like me and you always have to use the toilet, like you just have a really small bladder and you're just always flushing through, definitely keep coins on you, because most places you will have to pay to get into the restrooms, okay? Also, kind of staying on that subject, you will also have, you may also have to pay for water when you dine in restaurants. It's not like here in America where you just get bread and, you know, water for free. You know, when you sit down, you have to usually pay for water when you're dining out anywhere in Italy. Also in Italy, they charge you a fee if you sit down and have table service, versus if you just go up to the bar area and, you know, order a coffee to go takeaway, or you just stand there and like drink your drink. You can do that, because the other option is for you to sit down and then they charge you an added fee. It's not that much, like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 euros or so, but just so you know, it does cost more for you to sit down and have table service. Also, don't be surprised when you are exploring Italia and you realize that a lot of shops are like 3-in-1, 4-in-1, right? Like some shops will have, like, you'll pull up to a gas station, and in that gas station you can sit down and order a drink and have social time with your friends, or you have a whole coffee shop in there. Like, it's crazy. You can buy bus and train tickets in there. Like, it's all of this like one-stop shop going on, and it's actually really cute and something that is very unique to specifically Italy, you know, is what I found. But yes, it's not like America where, you know, they just have convenience stores. You know, you go to the gas station, you're getting gas, and then you can buy some snacks and, like, you know, pull some things out of the coolers. It's not like that. It's like a whole full-service bar, a full-service coffee shop. Okay? Okay, back to the costings, because in the first video, part 1, I was talking about cost briefly, because, of course, like, people always ask about money and like what to expect when you're traveling abroad, and like how you can do it in a more budget-friendly way, or approximately what do I need to save in order to travel to Italy, right? And this depends on so many factors, as I was saying in the video. Of course, it depends on like where you're going, how long you're traveling, how many people you're traveling with, the activities that you're doing, how much you're dining out. Like, all of these factors play into what you will look to be spending to travel to Italy. You can absolutely budget travel if that is what you're, you know, seeking out to do, but you can also travel more luxurious. The first time, like, I was going completely solo, I was more so budget traveling, and also there's a lot of things that you do by yourself, or that you don't do by yourself, that you would do when you are with your family or your husband, right? So those play into it as well. Also, like, if you're traveling anywhere on the coast of Italy, pretty much you're gonna pay a lot more. If you're going to the seaside and seeing all the coastal tourist towns, you're likely to pay a higher price, versus if you're going into the deep Tuscan region, like, yeah, it'll be cheaper. Anywhere on the coast is actually pretty pricey. Actually, my first trip around, I went to Positano, and most people know that, like, Positano, anywhere in the Amalfi Coast, is pretty pricey. I don't really find it to be pricier than anywhere in the USA, to be honest. Like, I'm from the USA and everything is really pricey here, so I didn't really find it to be more than that. I just think it was really comparable to that. But also, depending on where you stay, like if you stay on the bottom, like right by the beach, then yeah, you're gonna pay a lot more versus you staying maybe further from the beach. And if you're in Positano specifically, like way up on top of a cliff, where you have to walk down, like, not even kidding you, 300 steps just to get to the beach. You can take a bus also as well, which you would have to pay for. It's a couple euros. But yeah, you would pay a much cheaper price to stay way above or out of the beach area versus like staying right on the beach, of course, would cost a lot more. So all of that to say, a lot of factors depend on like how much you're gonna spend, but and like where you go, but that's just something that you have to figure for yourself on what you want to spend. You know, coastal side, usually typically going to be a lot more expensive. Shopping around there also going to be a lot more expensive versus going in the Tuscan region and, you know, drinking wine and staying, you know, where you can't really catch a taxi. But if you do catch a taxi, it's going to cost you a lot more because there's just not a lot of taxi private drivers out in the deep countryside. Does that make sense? So yeah, that's something that you have to figure within, like, what's within your own budget, and like obviously how long you're staying and how luxurious you want that trip to be and how many mouths you're trying to feed. But just know it is doable, it is feasible, it is possible. Like, work with what you can and run with it, okay? Let's see. Oh, time. Time convenience. Oh, this is a big one. So in part one, I was talking a lot about trains and kind of trying to help you guys navigate train systems and how I was really nervous going into, you know, traveling public transit for the first time by myself in a foreign country where I don't speak Italian. Very nerve-wracking, but it was completely fine. I did not have issues. Just go refer to part one. I'll give you all the information on that. However, related to that, I wanted to talk about kind of time and time convenience, okay? Train stations and bus stops and yada yada yada. So if you're someone who wants to make itineraries for each day and like see different things and do day trips, which is pretty fairly easy when you're, you know, traveling by train, it's fairly easy to do day trips that are, you know, close and nearby. Hopefully I'm staying in focus for you guys. However, you have to factor in times, right? So let's say you want to take a day trip. Let's say you are staying in the Tuscan region and you want to take a day trip, like you're in the countryside, you want to take a day trip into Florence, or you want to take a day trip into Siena. Well, that might be an hour and a half travel to get to by train, but you have to factor in, like, okay, see what time the trains are leaving early in the morning if you're somebody that wants to spend the whole day there. See what time that the trains are leaving to return, what trains you need to catch, and like also how you're getting to that, like what times you're getting to that train station, and like when you're, like how long is your wait time, right? Because all of that factors into just eating time up basically out of your day. It's not like convenience is, you're not going to have convenience when you're traveling abroad, overseas, especially when you are traveling public transit. Convenience is just not really a thing. It depends on like how far you are from a train station, because a lot of times, let's say you want to go spend the day in Florence and you have a train leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning that you want to try to catch. Well, let's say you are already staying 15-20 minutes away from the train station. You would have to commute your way to the train station and then, you know, factor that time in. And then catch the train, and then all the travel time in the train, which might take an hour and a half, of course, depending on where you stay, and then exploring and like you planning your day out. You have to just take into account all of the timing of travel, because it is a lot, and sometimes because of that travel you just can't cram so much into one day. Also, safe to add, when you finally get to your destination, you will be doing a lot of walking, okay? And yes, some cities, especially like the big cities, they have buses, so you can take buses. And I think actually subways too. Like I think I remember Milano has subways. So yes, you can do that, but also it's like waiting for buses And if you're trying to get basically on the other side of the city, because maybe there's a certain thrift vintage store that you want to go to, hello, that's me, then you have to wait for that bus and then travel there. And or if you want to walk it, you can walk it, but like then you have to think about how long it's going to take you to walk. The point overall here is that sometimes you can't just do it all, because the travel time and the walking time is a lot, and also you don't want to wear yourself out, right? Like sometimes you just need to have one intention, you know, be intentional with seeing like one thing, getting there, and then just having the rest of the day to do whatever and just kind of take it more easy, or like walk around and then stop and have a limoncello, or have a light dinner or lunch or whatever. Like you have to think about all of those things, and I'm not the kind of person personally that wants to rush and that like wants to like check boxes and rush to the next thing. I like to enjoy my time. I like leisurely. I like slow mornings, slow leisurely activities. That is what I like. So just keep that in mind. Like timing is everything. Nothing will be convenient. You have to be a really patient person and understand that you know, you are on the train and public transit's timing, okay? Whew. All right. Next up, wearing shoes. Yeah, wearing shoes that are comfy and well made for hills and declines and inclines and steps. Depending on where you are, not everywhere is super hilly and, you know, full of steps, but I've been to I've experienced like all of it. And actually the first time that literally within my first few days that I was in Positano, I broke like 2 pairs of shoes. Seriously, because it wasn't that I wasn't wearing comfortable shoes, it was just like they were just cheap shoes, and I ended up breaking them because I was doing so much walking, and like Italy has cobblestones, so keep that in mind. Like you need some really well built, well made shoes. And then if you're like me and you like to take your pictures, or you like to have a certain aesthetic, okay, I actually just keep backup shoes in my tote bag that I carry out with me for a day of exploring, and that's that. I will just swap those on, and then when I'm ready to walk again, put the more comfortable shoes back on, okay? Which actually also reminds me of like bringing tote bags with you, because that also plays into the time convenience thing. Bringing a tote bag or bringing a book sack with you anytime you go out and explore, because if you have things that you want to carry with you, it's not that easy and convenient to go right back to where you're staying or your hotel, especially if you're like out walking and exploring and yada yada yada. It's just not that easy if you forget something. So take what you need with you. Bring a big enough bag, not too heavy, but a book sack. You'll see a lot of travelers doing the same thing, wearing book sacks, traveling and exploring around, to make sure that you have everything that you need. That is exactly what I do, because I carry my camera with me everywhere, and so I always keep my camera with me in a tote bag, and you know, whatever else I need, maybe some touch-ups for throughout the day. Okay. Next up, this is also helpful information that you should know. Most Italian businesses close during the day and then reopen later in the evening. So especially with restaurants, you'll find if they are a restaurant that like is open like for breakfast or something, they'll be open for breakfast and then they'll close midday, and then they'll reopen again for dinner time, like 6-7 o'clock. Italians do pretty much eat dinner pretty late. You can find food out, you know, you can go to dinner at like 9:30 at night. That's totally fine and normal. You can't really do that here where we are, but it's an Italian thing. So just so you know, like sometimes, again with the time convenience, like I was trying to rent a Vespa, and the business that I was trying to rent it from was open during the morning time, closed all throughout the day, and then reopened oddly for dinner time. Literally, it was like 7:30 that they reopened according to Google. So it did not work out because it was a travel to get there. But just so you know, like, that's also something you have to think about. Do your research on that. If you're trying to do like me and like rent something, sometimes the places might be closed at the time that you're trying to go there. So just so you know, keep that in your mind. Next piece of information is that pickpockets. Most of the train stations that you go into, you will hear on those biglietti machines. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But basically the Trenitalia ticket machines, you'll hear it say, watch out for pickpockets. Because pickpocketing is a thing in Italy. I will tell you, I have never had any issue. I've never encountered any sketchy situations where pickpocketing like maybe felt like it was coming for me, you know what I mean? I never felt threatened in that way, but apparently it is a big thing, and I can imagine more so in the major train station hubs like Florence, Firenze, Roma, Milano. I think more so in those train stations it probably happens a lot because there is a lot of people in those train stations, a lot of travelers. You will see. So just watch out for that. I actually have these things on my book sack that prevent, it's like a little clip, and it puts the zippers together so you can't easily, you know, unzip your bags. So if you're wearing that on your book sack, it just kind of helps give you peace of mind, like nobody can quickly grab something out of your backpack. I also wear it like, I also wear a lot of my stuff on my front. So if I'm wearing a backpack, I'll put it on my front or put it on my luggage and like hook it on there. It's just something like an extra safety precaution that I take just because, again, for peace of mind, because yes, it does happen, but don't be fearful. Like, I never had an issue, but just so you know, they will warn you at the train stations for that. Let's see, another, just a piece of information randomly. Beaches are pebbles, mostly pebble beaches, like rocks. It's not really like the sand that you go get in Florida. It is pebbles, so maybe a little bit easier for, you know, walking in your shoes, and you don't have to like take home sand. Some of it is sandy in certain areas, but mostly like big rocks. This kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier about time convenience, is that sometimes you just have to go in realizing that not all your plans will follow through. Like, sometimes things may not follow through. There was a couple things that I had planned to do when I was there, but according to times and according to just like trying to like just stay sane and like feel rejuvenated and like vital enough to do the things, it just maybe didn't work out or happen. Also, we had already booked a boat tour weeks in advance, and unfortunately the time that we were in the coast, it was like 2 or 3 days that they had to cancel all the boat tours because of the seas. Like, the seas were too rough. They couldn't take people out because the seas just wouldn't allow for boat tours to happen. So I was really bummed out about that, but that's just something else that you kind of have to keep in mind, is that, you know, things might fall through. You might not be able to achieve all the things on your planned itinerary, but it is okay because there's always something else to do and always something else to see, and there is another route that you can go, okay? Like, I would rather not be completely exhausted and not wanting to do the next thing and enjoying, you know, a good dinner meal, or, you know, a long breakfast, or, you know, lunch, whatever it is. I would rather, you know, not be so exhausted from all the tireless hiking and walking and exploring and doing, wait, am I making sense? I would rather have the energy to do, you know, the more dining out experience than tiring myself out doing all of the activities and like all the hiking and walking to get to that thing. I get it, like some days that is fine, of course, and for some people, like, they thrive on that, but for me personally, like, I want to be able, like, if I'm out exploring all day, I want to be able to go back to where I'm staying, freshen up, take a shower, redo my makeup and my hair, change into a night outfit to go have dinner. You know what I mean? So when you're in a village that is walkable, it's pretty easy to do that when it's small. But just something to take into account. Like, I like that instead of just like running into any restaurant and sitting down and having dinner, and you know, without like freshening myself up. I'm just like that. I want to look and feel a certain energy to go have my dinner. So let's see. Oh, driving. So actually, we actually did rent a car and drive this time around, which I was talking about in part 1. In the Tuscan countryside, you kind of have to have a car. If you want to get around, you have to have a car. You are gonna have to drive, and it seems really intimidating. I can assure you it was intimidating, like the first few drives. It's scary because you're in a foreign country, and you know, you don't speak the language, and all the signs are in their language, so it can be a bit intimidating. But like one of the Italians was saying to us, like, it's fine. People are not going to, you know, scrutinize you. Like, it's not like Americans where they're just like honking at you and flipping you off. Like, oh my gosh, like literally Americans do that, and they have like major road rage because Italians expect American tourists to be driving. It's like they know that's a thing. They love American tourists. Italia, the whole country of Italia, relies a lot on American tourism, so it's fine. It seems a little bit intimidating, but it's not as bad as you think. Just follow the other cars, you know. Just follow the other cars, stay calm, like go slow. I don't know. I didn't personally drive myself. It was okay. It was okay. I believe that is all that I wanted to share with you guys. It's like all the tips that I had written down for this video, which is my part 2. If you need to hear more, definitely refer to part 1. And I had something about like traveling tips and becoming savvy and being organized, but I really don't remember what it was that I was going to say about that. So maybe that'll come to me later. Maybe I can do a part 3 if it does come to me. Maybe like I can do a whole video on like things that I would recommend when traveling abroad, or how to stay organized, or like traveling in a savvy manner, and like packing and whatnot, and things that I have found to be very useful to me when traveling abroad. Maybe I can do a whole separate video if you guys want to hear some more of that, but definitely follow the channel if you're not already subscribing. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful to you, all my Italian lovers, as I am. I hope that it helps you in planning your trip to Italy and gives you more peace of mind within all of that. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and ask me. And until the next video, I will talk to you guys soon. Love you.